that turned that country around. He was the minister of public works that brought down that onerous government agency. We need people like Dave Weldon and Dan Webster and a lot of others with backbones of titanium and compasses that point to the true north, invariably, to get elected. This is not Pat Allen Hayes. I'm sorry, I'll get to him in a little bit. But our problems in this country are absolutely national problems, and it's going to require a national solution. The pastors, I'm not sure, but I suspect the pastor of First Baptist Church in Umatilla, who's my pastor, is already a member of that group. Mother's Day, his Mother's Day sermon was 4 or 5, I believe it was 5 different things that mothers can do to help America. And he talked about putting good mothers' philosophies into effect there in Washington, D.C. Pastors must get engaged. Christians must get engaged. Non-Christians who believe in God must get engaged. If you want America to survive, we've got to get engaged. I had Dr. Morris McTeague come down to Tallahassee on 2 different occasions, trying to implore my colleagues to embrace more of the New Zealand philosophy and keep fiscal responsibility on course here in Florida. I was blessed with the opportunity to be the chairman of the General Government Appropriations Committee in the House of Representatives 4 years ago. I held that position for 2 years, and I've chaired the counterpart of committee in the Senate for the last 2 years. And just in last year alone, I reduced that budget for those 16 state agencies by $79 million. And that's just in 1 year's time. There's more yet to be cut out. I am Alan Hayes. But folks, we have some problems here in Florida, some very serious problems. One of them is called property insurance. I saw an article in the St. Pete Times today, it's the Tampa Bay Times, that talks about how Governor Scott is misrepresenting the problem. And that newspaper article is so slanted and distorted, I wanted to burn the paper. I didn't have a copy of it. It was on my iPad at the time of reading it. You don't burn iPads if you pay for it yourself. But citizens' property insurance is so underfunded. It is pathetic. They have insured obligations that exceed $500 billion, and they have less than $10 billion in reserves. If they were a private company, their principals would be in jail, and the company would be shut down. And yet, the politicians in Florida are perpetrating that myth of insurance on the people of Florida. And they hide behind the fact that they can issue bonds. And those bonds are coming out of your pocket. And the interest on those bonds is going to require you to pay 2 to 3 times the actual face value over the 30-year life of the bonds. So we have problems in Florida as well. I have been trying for the last 2 years in the Senate and 6 years in the House prior to that. I'm running for the state Senate again for District 11. All of you that live in Lake County, south of County Road 42, which is certainly everybody down here in South Lake County, will be in Senate District 11. And if you bless me with your votes, I'll be privileged to be your senator for the next 4 years. I give you my word that I will continue to be the fiscal conservative that this state needs. And I have a track record that is right there. The national situation is absolutely scary. I wish we could clone Arthur and have him speak to every high school and every university on opening day of classes this coming fall. And all summer long, we need to get that message everywhere we go. The days of political correctness have gotten us in the mess that we're in. We need to burn that term, political correctness. It is absolutely imperative that we change the occupants of the White House and and that we get Bill Nelson a new job somewhere. And I guarantee you, Dave Weldon has a track record of proven conservatism. Again, this is just almost too good to be true for Arthur and I to be standing up here talking about Dave Weldon, and Dave's not even here. But folks, believe me, he is the real deal. What does that mean to you? It means that each and every person who's breathing in this room today, ourselves, the candidates, and everybody, absolutely has to put on the whole armor of God, if you will. You've got to put on your fatigues of battle and say, listen, I know you and I differ on politics, but let's talk about, find a way to educate your friends and the people in your circle of influence. You don't have to be confrontational, be carefrontational. Express your concern and your fears that Arthur so eloquently put out there. Every word the man spoke was absolutely true. And he's not an alarmist. He's a man who speaks the truth. And it's imperative for those of us who know the truth to spread the truth. And we absolutely must get Dave Weldon elected to the United States Senate. Marco Rubio is our other senator. He's going to be there for another 4 years. And we need to encourage him. Pray, 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 folks. You know, as one who grew up all my life in church, and you go and you hear people say, pray for our governor, pray for our people in office and our public servants and these types of things. And it sounds good and they're sincere. But believe you me, when you become one of those elected officials, you realize how much you need those prayers. I beg you, pray for everybody. Whether they're of your party or not, pray for every public office holder in this country, that they will look, number one, to God Almighty for their guidance, and that they will have the boldness to do the right thing, not the politically convenient thing. Back to the property insurance. Today, in Florida, we do not have actuarially correct premiums. We have politically correct premiums. And they're a disgrace. And they're going to bring this state to their knees. Everybody talks about the 1 in 100-year storm. Those of us who were here in 04 and 05 know, factually, you don't have just one storm in 1 year. You may very well have 3 or 4 storms, as we did in those years. And the cumulative effect of those 3 or 4 storms could take this state to her knees financially. Out of the 6 options that he offered us, only one is going to work. And that's called fiscal pain. If you come to my dental office and I tell you that you've got a tooth that's infected, you have a choice. The tooth is not hurting. But you have a choice. You can allow me to get rid of that infection, or you can not believe me and walk away and wait for it to hurt. But sooner or later, your day of reckoning with that tooth is going to come. But you have a choice today. You can take a little bit of discomfort and ensure yourself that it won't be painful. Or you can put it off and then it'll really get painful. And you may or may not be able to get me to come in and fix it because I may be out of state somewhere or something. But regardless of that, it's the same way with our fiscal situation in America. It's the same way with our political situation in America. The day of reckoning is coming. It's our responsibility for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren to do the right thing. I just completed last night reading a book called The Streets of Mogadishu, written by Colonel Danny McKnight, who was the commander of the Ranger Battalion there in Mogadishu when the Black Hawks went down. And Danny McKnight talks about doing the easy wrong decision or doing the hard right decision. We've got a lot of hard the right decisions that must be made. It's imperative that we make the right decision. It's not going to be the comfortable decision, but it's going to be the right one. And making the right one today will spare us and spare our children and grandchildren of a lot of agony later on. Be very, very analytical as you evaluate us candidates. Make sure that we are people who will do what we say we will do. Make sure that you encourage everybody in your circle of influence. Get registered to vote before the deadline. Make sure they vote. Please, please, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to be your state senator. I'm also in charge of keeping my own continuing education credits up so I can keep my dental license active. And I left the state dental meeting this morning to come here, and now I must go back and take classes this afternoon, and I have a meeting with a group of dentists to talk about the dental Medicaid services in the state of Florida as well. So I apologize, I won't be here afterwards. I did leave some things out there on the table. You're welcome to take some of those. I have things that you can use. I'm just a practical sort of guy. I've got fingernail files. For anybody, most of the time it's the ladies that take those, but some men file their fingernails too. I have letter openers, and I have screwdrivers. They're on the table. I only have any paper stuff, nothing you can throw away, things you can use, practical things. Help yourself to them, and I thank you for being here. God bless you.